Has crypto alt season officially kicked off, or is it a recession? Well, if you look over here, according to the trending tweets lately, it is wild times indeed, as Benjamin Cowan says. You have both alt season and recession trending at the same time on crypto Twitter, and you gotta love it. If you look at the crypto bubbles chart over here, you'll see that a lot of the altcoins are starting to pop left, right, and center. So we're gonna have a look at a bunch of altcoins today. If you look at the 𝗬𝗍𝗫 chart, this is what we're looking for, is for a little bit of lift off from this diagonal trend line, and you're starting to see the etchings of that take place. But in order to confirm that this is in fact going to be a local low and the 𝗬𝗍𝗫 chart can continue on upwards, we're still going to need to clear higher prices. So I'm going to show you some coins that look primed and could potentially push up as long as Bitcoin consolidates sideways and the 𝗬𝗍𝗫 chart continues on up. Then there is a potential play which we could look at for the next coming week. So I wanted to also touch on OKX with regards to the bots that I have running over here, the recurring buy bots. Remember, I set up an altcoin portfolio, a Bitcoin portfolio, and then also a gaming portfolio. So these are the results. We'll continue to monitor them. You can see that altcoins are starting to pick up steam, because if you remember, this 1 year portfolio has been in the red for a long period of time, and it only recently just started to move into the green, which is showing you that these alts are definitely starting to move. While we at it, I just wanted to remind you, if you go through to OKX over here, they do have, if you click on that link, a competition which is currently running, and that basically gives you access to a bunch of prizes. I thought, why not do you guys a solid favor and give away some of those prizes right now on the show? But make sure you like the video. Please quickly smash the like button before we get started. It does help the algorithm and gets the show out there. And then we'll do a quick roll call. Who's in the house over here? I see Banter Girls over there. We got Az, we got Hassan, we got 𝗕𝗘𝗧𝗪𝗧. Welcome back, James. We have 𝗕𝗵𝗵𝗍𝗍, the Taylors. We have RUNE, 𝗕𝗆𝗍𝗍. All of you guys are back. Thank you so much for joining once again. Smash the like button. And today we're going to be giving away an Apple MacBook Pro 14-inch. The last prize that we had was the Apple iPhone Pro. That was the first week. Remember, the prizes get progressively larger as each week passes. So next week, week 3, we're going to be giving away 2 Manchester City Football Club tickets. Remember, OKX is an official sponsor of Manchester City. And then the next one, you get 7-night holiday in the Maldives. And then the grand prize is going to be a Tesla Model 3. So let's quickly pull up the sheet over here. The way that it works, here I've got the sheet. The way that it works is you need to look over here if your user ID is on this list. So I've zoomed in and I'm going to scroll through. Just pause the screen once it gets to what you think may be your number. If you can send an email with a screenshot, don't do the Photoshop thing, guys. If it's not your number, we verify it with the exchange to make sure it's you. So if it is your number, take a screenshot, send that to giveaways@cryptobanter.com. That's giveaways@cryptobanter.com. I'm sure we can pin something in the comment section below, and then they'll be able to give you your prize. So here it is. The way that it works is we're not picking one. It's pretty much first come, first serve. So if you see yours on the list over here and I'm scrolling through, the first person who emails through to giveaways@cryptobanter.com, you're going to get the MacBook Pro 14-inch. So there it is. I'm scrolling through. Just pause the screen and look at your user ID number and then send through the mail. I think that's it. Okay, we'll go one more time in reverse. Is that big enough, James? You think they can see it? Yeah. Okay, cool. I think we've done a good enough job. Let's move on with the show. Close that out and let's continue. Okay, Bitcoin. Very simply put, we have this consolidation over here, which is currently taking place. Now, it's very important that you see continuation to the upside sooner rather than later, because you have a rare instance where you have 3 doji weekly candles in a row. That's as if we close here. Now, this could be an indication of a reversal pattern. So you have to control your risk and look at what the pivot point is, right? The pivot point at the moment is really this $27,000 level. If price prices start to fall back below that $27,000 level, then you might see a deeper pullback on Bitcoin. But as long as it holds above there, then you can expect this consolidation might lead to continuation. Our upside target using the Gaussian channel remains the same, 32,492. Eventually that level is probably going to be tagged, but the question is, do we pull back first or do we shoot up? So looking at the other weekly chart over here, you can see we've looked at this for a long time. All the different moving averages and EMAs are starting to trend on up, so that's adding additional support, suggesting that pullbacks are for buying. When that pullback does eventually come, remember, it's obviously because at a pivotal point, we don't know, is it going to shoot up to 32K first, or is it going to come down into the prior range high at 25,000 and test that as ultimate support? All you need to know is that you have a plan for either or. So you should have some capital on the table, which you're looking to play towards the upside, but instead of being full size, maybe you go in with half size, because we're in the middle of no man's land and you don't want to go full in. If we do start to pull back, you need capital which you can still deploy into these low levels. There's going to be a whole lot of support over here, and this is a critical zone that needs to hold when that pullback eventually comes. The 4-day chart is showing you the same thing over here. So consolidation, same thing, all sideways. And as long as this continues to hold at least sideways or slightly up, altcoins are going to start to catch a bit because people get bored. I already see the comments on Twitter this morning with people saying that, oh, Bitcoin is my favorite stable coin at 28,000, stuck at 28,000. And that's what happens. Then you get these altcoin rotational cycles where the flow of money, as you would know, moves from Bitcoin into Ethereum, which is the biggest altcoin, and then from Ethereum it moves into the other layer ones, so large caps, then layer twos, and then you go into the mid caps, and then eventually the low caps like the crypto gaming coins and meme coins, etc. So is it potential that we could have that alt season? It definitely looks so on the charts, but remember, this is critical that you catch this point that I'm about to say over here. When you're at a pivotal point, it really could go either way. So you're on the cusp of what could be the start of a potential major rally for altcoins, but you also right at that pivotal point where if it turns from here, it could be the biggest bull trap ever, as they say. As our friend Capo says, biggest bull trap ever. Okay, we have this reverse parabola, which is still currently intact. This is on Bitcoin on the 8-hour chart. So I told you that, remember, if you look at normal parabolas, which look like this, normal parabolas, when price holds up, when they eventually break to the downside, the correction is extreme. It goes all the way back down, almost fully retracing the entire parabola. So the same would be true with this example over here. If you start to break this reverse parabola to the upside, then this is the reason why the move happened so aggressively, is because people place stops here, stops here, stops here, and as price goes down, they keep placing their stops. So when you eventually break through that parabola, it's an aggressive move towards the upside. That move would take you to about $33,000, which is the upper side target that we have for Bitcoin if it does follow the path to the upside. Again, in line with that whole pivotal level that we're looking at, you can see that the RSI has now crossed back above in favor of the bulls, meaning that if it falls back below, price falls below $28,461 on Bitcoin, then the pivot point basically turns and bears take back control. So really this $28,400 to $28,500 level is extremely crucial. Anything that's above is meaning that bulls basically have the edge, and anything below 28,400 means that bears start to take back control, and then you're looking at $27,000 and potentially $25,000. So what do you do in a situation like this? Well, one of the best things to do is to reduce your risk. You don't want to take on too much risk when you're at such a pivotal point. The other thing that you can do is look for coins that are closer to their invalidation point. I'm going to show you on the show a whole list of altcoins that are pretty close to their invalidation zones, meaning that if you were to go long, you're not risking too much because your stop loss is pretty close to where your entry point is. Right now, Bitcoin's already had a massive run over here. And yes, although the consolidation could lead to one more big push up like that, it's really, if you haven't participated in this rally over here, it's kind of taking on a lot of risk to start to enter the market at this exact point. The other reason that you're taking on a bunch of risk is because of the S&P 500 futures over here. So if you have a look, we were playing at level to level, right? We have the range lows and then we have the range highs at the top over here. You can see that was the target. As soon as we started to recover above this mid-range and retest that long-term downtrending trend line, we came back into that, forming not the second but the third high low. So high low 1, 2, 3. We were looking for a final push up into the range high, and ranges tend to continue to hold in the same ways that trends tend to continue. So if you have higher highs and high lows, they tend to continue. If you have a clearly defined range, those ranges tend to stick. What does that mean? That means that you should be a seller at the range high, looking for this to come back and continue to hold the range. So where are we right now? Yesterday I outlined that we had 0.66% more upside potential on the S&P 500, and they had made it almost to the range high and consequently has started to pull back. Now, this could potentially push up one more time. Remember, we understand there's a correlation between the stock market and risky assets like crypto. So therefore, if we are starting to get to a potential top on the S&P 500, it means that crypto could also struggle. It could struggle to push through those zones, and that's why the RSI reverse indicator that we have is showing that we're at that pivotal point. So it's important to look at. Surprisingly, yesterday, this definitely did catch me off guard. I was looking for the 𝗕𝗍𝗃 to start to push up from that level, but it actually continued to fall further. So it's still potentially a higher low zone over here. And oftentimes, you know, when you're looking at a chart, right as you're about to throw in the towel and give up on a particular idea, that's exactly when it reverses. So for me personally, on the DXY, the dollar index, this is a potential area where I would start to throw in the towel and look for continuation to the downside. But because I feel that way, it makes me think that it is probably going to still take a bounce up and head towards that key yearly high level, recapture of that 103.49, and then you're looking at moving towards the X, which is at 105. So this was definitely a surprising move. I haven't had the chance to go in depth into the research, like fundamentally why this happened with the dollar. Of course, we have this whole de-dollarization narrative that's running, but let me know in the comments, do you guys know what exactly happened with the dollar that it took such a massive fall yesterday? Because the S&P 500 also started to turn back down. I'd understand if the S&P 500 was breaking through those range highs and pushing up with a major breakout, that would make sense, but that didn't happen. So I'm not sure why the 𝗕𝗍𝗃 started to fall from here. Anyways, let's move on. Some interesting developments over here. Total 2 has started to push through that red box zone, right? So remember, the red box was an important level that we were looking at over here. This was 104 to 112 region. You can see that candle push through, but in the prior weeks that we've had, we failed to close any candles above. This is a 3-day chart, so it's high time frame and it matters. If we start to see a close above this level, then you can say that maybe this breakout is really happening and you can start to push up towards the range high. That would be in line with what we're seeing on 𝗍𝗃𝗧, which means a potential move from that box to the top of another 12%. 𝗍𝗃𝗧 chart is showing about 20% upside potential, meaning that Ethereum can outperform Bitcoin by 20%. Okay. Let's look at total 3. Where's total 3? I think total 3 might also be showing some signs of life. Here we have it. So it's up 2%. So slowly starting to peek its head right through that long-term diagonal trend line over there, and you have double confluence as an area to get through over here. You have the prior range high, which is the horizontal orange line, plus the white diagonal. So as you can see, a big push through that level might give a convincing breakout. There's not necessarily any reason to rush or chase. There will still be plenty of opportunities. If you see a breakout and it comes in like that, you can buy that retest around that $400 billion level. Okay, because it could still potentially just turn from here and continue back down. In order for that to happen, Bitcoin would obviously need to nuke. So some coins, I actually took the time to not waste your guys' time and go through each and every single coin. I went through them beforehand, so I've just made a note of the ones that matter. Feel free to take a screenshot of that and go through and look at them yourself if you want to chart them yourself. I'm going to move this onto my other screen. Let's put this over here, and then I'll go through those one by one. Okay, here's Bitcoin. Quickly before we move on to the altcoins, Bitcoin over here, you can see, remember we're targeting the order block. We're coming into that order block now. Still pivotal point. Are we going to break and hold above and then target the next zone? Or is it going to turn back down to 25K? So that is the $1 million question. Now let's start going through the alts in order. Solana. Solana is the first one that I have. Pressure definitely starting to build over here on this chart in terms of the bulls looking to take back control. Long-term diagonal trend line. I'll probably make that bigger. I know on mobile you're not even going to see that. So there we go. Long-term diagonal trend line been holding Solana price down. And then you have this strong horizontal underside resistance over here, which is coming in between 25 and $27.3. So if it can start to break above this trend line over here, then you can at least take a target long all the way up to the pink box. Percentage-wise, what would that look like? You're looking at a 20% move, so big move. So you can call it the relief rally of Solana from here to here. Once it gets over here, if it can start to push above and hold above this pink zone, you'll find another entry, which then potentially starts to make much higher price targets of around that $38 level. So that's the one. Atom. Atom was another one that I wanted to look at. Now, the point of this exercise is to kind of show you in relation to the pink zones, which are the ranges, where do these coins lie? So here's Atom. We looked at this one for a long time. You have this level that's a main range at $9. And then you have your trend line. So low, higher low, and you're looking for somewhere in this region, another potential higher low to form. So could this be it? Well, if you look at the posturing of this candle over here, candles provide you with a lot of information. The same way that you could see that buying demand over here, which led to a big move up, you're starting to see the etchings of that within this candle. So if you were to go long, you could potentially place a stop loss underneath that wick, so at around $10.50, and that could be a potential long, which you could take all the way up, I would say, into this downtrending trend line at about $14. That's a pretty big move. That's about 45%. Next, ENS. You'll notice from the coins that I'm showing you, some look better than the others. Some are not in a perfect zone. Others are closer to their invalidation point. It's up to you to decide which ones you want to execute on. Okay, here's Ethereum naming service. So you can see the general range, right? It's starting to slowly get above. And the prior candle that we had over here is also showing respect for this diagonal trend line. Seems to be holding over here. Could place a small bid over there with your stop loss below at about $12.50. Okay, let's go next one. Filecoin. Here's Filecoin. So Filecoin's closer to its trend line. In relation, in the greater scheme of things, if you look at this, this is still pretty low. I know a lot of people might think that, well, because people, you know, they always want to buy the bottom for some reason psychologically. If you were to have bought that exact bottom, which would be less than 0.1% of all people in crypto, you'd be up 133%. But if you look what this coin is down, it's still down, I think, in the region of 98%. In the grand scheme of things, if you were to catch a bid over here in relation to this main range low, it would still be a pretty good long opportunity for a relief rally. So here you're starting to see again the etchings of what could potentially be a bottom, respecting this trend line 1, 2, 3, and you have a candle that's showing it wants to reverse. So stop goes underneath that candle over there, and you could potentially long this all the way back to the top of this range, giving you 15 to 20-ish%. And then if you break through that, remember the upside targets become much, much higher because that's just mid-range. Then you go to range high, you break out of that, and then you're talking about a mega range. At this point, Bitcoin's fully back into a bull run, and there's the chart. That's what it looks like, right? Okay, next, Chainlink. Chainlink was the other one. So Chainlink's not the perfect setup, but it's holding above the mid-range. You can see that over there. Same thing, you got the simple trend line in play, 1, 2, 3 touches, holding, stop goes below that. If you lose that, the reason why this is a decent trade setup is because if you lose that, you're breaking below the mid-range, number one. You're also breaking below the diagonal trend line, and it's a clear and easy invalidation. It means you're going all the way back down to the range lows. So say this is not financial advice, guys. You need to make your own decisions over here. I'm just giving you potential trade setups. I want to remind you and say it once again. The market is at a pivotal point. That means that if the market does turn down from here, altcoins are going to get absolutely annihilated. I'm just taking you through the list. And in the best case scenario that Bitcoin continues to range sideways and slowly start to track and drift on upwards, then it means altcoins will catch a bit. But I can't say with any certainty that these coins are going to rally. It's just a game of probabilities. Cool. Let's carry on with the next one over here. After Link, I have DOT. DOT was the next one. Okay, let's take a look at Polkadot. So similar, right? Recapturing its range over here. So this range, the range low, and let's just move this up a bit. Then you have the diagonal trend line. It seems to be holding and respecting above this level over here using this candle, which is coming in the wick low at about $6. You have an invalidation similar to Link. If you start to break below this trend line over here, as well as below the pink box and hold there, then of course you want to bail out of that long position. The idea has failed. Okay, DYDX. Here's DYDX. So DYDX is basically had this range. It broke successfully out of that range. It came retested, bounced off, started to form a diagonal trend line towards the downside, came into the mid range, which is the green line over there, and then bounced up off of that. Now it's slowly but surely starting to reclaim above the main range high. A break above this range high, if it can hold above this level and start to take out the diagonal over here, then you potentially have a big move that could be in play. And same thing, diagonal trend line invalidation below that wick over there, because if you break that diagonal and you break below that wick, you're also falling back into the range, and then your target would be lower towards the mid range. So that's one setup over there. Optimism was another one. Okay, let's see. So I don't really necessarily want to call this a long. I just would say that this one is currently interesting. It's similar to DYDX in that if you consider this the main range, right, it seems to be respecting above that range high. And that means that a break below that diagonal would send it back into the broader range, this being the broader range. Let's just quickly draw this out for you. There we go. Make it bigger. So as you can see, if this were to turn back over and come here below this candle over here, you've broken the diagonal, you took out the prior swing low, you broke back into the range, and then it's going to go much lower. Again, guys, it's just a game of probabilities. That's all that I'm saying. It's a game of probabilities. This is not based on my emotion or what I think is going to happen within the market. Optimism is already starting to run. When I made this chart earlier, it was much lower. So that's a bit of a pity. It's up 6%. Unless you guys took a look at the list and started market buying it live on the show. I haven't actually got into any of these positions. So by me showing you this on the show, you actually have the opportunity to get into these coins even before I do. Okay, Arweave. I think we're halfway through this list of alts. Arweave. Let me know in the comments, do you want me to go through the whole list today, or do you want me to save the other half for tomorrow? Is it too overwhelming? Let me know in the comments. Let's see over there. I'm going to quickly wait for the live feed over here to catch up. It's got a little bit of a delay. Okay, let's see. I see you guys have a lot of requests. Bantigal, you love shorting optimism. Yes, it is. It has provided good volatility to short as well, 100%. Okay, you guys are saying no, carry on. All of them today, no today, do it all. Okay, you guys want it. Okay, cool. Let's carry on. Arweave. Here's Arweave. Same thing, guys. So I'm not going to explain the thinking behind it because they all ultimately look the same. Here's the range lows. If you hold this orange trend line over here, then you're pretty much starting to recapture that range low. Remember, when you recapture a range low, what does that mean? It means it's probably a deviation that's taking place. So deviation, that could be a potential deviation. Deviations usually lead to moves at least towards the mid-range and possibly even higher towards the range high over there. So that's the point of this. If you can hold this trend line over here, great. If you don't, then you're coming back to the main trend line. I would say this one would be the main trend line, and that, I mean, I wouldn't buy that. That you're looking at much lower prices. You would need to see a reaction first. Okay, next we have ApeCoin over here. Okay, here's ApeCoin, same thing. Just starting to break back into its range. So all of them are the same, right? Oh, man, let's just quickly grab that. So here we have it. Deviation, deviation, potential deviation, playing it back towards the mid-range. Take most of your profit here. Leave some on the table in case it makes it to the top of the range over there. Cool. Next. What do we have? We have 𝗕𝗓. 𝗕𝗓 was in a really good place, actually, in terms of like if you're worried that you missed out on the moves and you can see that the layer ones were really struggling to catch a bid, then 𝗕𝗓's one that's really been lackluster within the greater scheme of things over here. Breaks down into the main range over here. Range low, you have a deviation, breaks up. You got one low, followed by the next potential higher low, and it's holding onto that trend line. I'll make the trend line bigger. I know when it's on 1 point, the mobile guys struggle to see it, so there you have it. If it's like that, invalidation, you can pretty much, I mean, look, I don't know if I'd even want to invalidate unless it came below these wicks over here at $1.69. That doesn't mean you go all in. It just means that you kind of layer your bids within this area. Let's grab the box. So you kind of layer your bids within this zone over here. I'll make that a different box. There we go, like that. So if you're looking to build a position and Bitcoin's tides are truly turning for reals, then you would be looking to build a position between $1.70 and current price, which is at about $2. So it's a big range. You don't want to go in too hard. You kind of dollar cost average into this area. And if it holds, this could have a big potential move. Next, we have Render. Let's look at Render. Okay, Render. So Render looks more like DYDX in that it had its bottom range over here. It broke through, reclaimed that range, started to come back down, deviated, almost went back down to the mid-range, but held that level. So that's a pivot point. We put our trend line over there. Next pivot point over here, and it seems to be holding. I've run the trend line through to touch the body just for the point of best fit. I think that's the point of best fit. So kind of watching this area over here. As long as it holds above that wick at about 122, then I would say that it's okay to potentially push higher as along. And you'll notice that this pattern, this is one of my favorite patterns to trade. It's not picture perfect on Render, but a lot of the altcoins look like this, and it's the W formation. So up, big push up, comes down, forms the next higher low, and once you break above this, then the W formation is confirmed, and you usually come up towards where those highs are. So you can see it looks exactly like a W. So check that out over there. That is for Render. Next, we have Curve. Here we go. Let's go to Curve. Okay, zoom out a bit. So Curve kind of holding within above the mid-range over here, or coming into the mid-range. As long as this trend line holds then, and it can get above the mid-range, you're targeting to range high. Failure to do that and a break of this trend line means that prices are going to come all the way down to the range lows. Let's look at the next one is Rune. Rune also didn't look too bad, because similar to 𝗕𝗓, it really hasn't caught a bid. You'd be looking at this as, here you go. So your lows, potential higher low, deviation, break back into the range. If altcoins catch a bid, this thing has a lot of momentum, or a lot of space, at least not momentum, a lot of space where it could potentially move much higher. Next, what else? We got just a few more over here. AZERO. Let's go to AZERO. Okay. Not much trading history, very simple trend line. That's it. That's all that I'm showing you. Touch 1, touch 2, touch 3. You kind of want this level to hold. If it can't hold this level, then basically bail out. It's just a quick, easy invalidation over there. Next, ENJ. Let's get that one over there. Here we have it. Okay. Similar to 𝗕𝗓, similar to Rune. Range lows, you broke below, so consider that a massive deviation. Just quickly grab that again. Massive deviation over here. You broke back in, made it to the mid-range over there. That is the lows. Next higher low with a deviation. It's respecting that trend line for now. Therefore, your target is up to the mid-range, and then leave some on the table for the range high. And then if you even get to this point over here, you leave some of that up in case it breaks through, and then you go for the moonshot. Next, Looks. Okay, here's Looks over here. Take a look at Looks. Not funny, I know, but there you have it. Range lows, holding on this trend line over here. So pretty simple and easy in validation. Just let it hold the trend line. I'm not usually a fan of trading on these diagonal trend lines, but when it makes sense and it's in line with a key level, which it is over here, then I would say that it's okay. So let's just quickly line this up a little bit better. Taking it from wick to body to wick, anything underneath that, and then basically I'll just cut the position. Next, GRT. Okay, GRT, you can see it's starting to peek its head through that downtrending trend line. It's also been respecting the diagonal, which is going to the upside, and it's breaking back above this main range over here. So initially it had a big pump, came all the way down, made it almost to the range low, came back and started to hold above that range high. So the deviation could almost be confirmed. You can say once you have a candle that closes above here, that could be a trigger. Your invalidation is obviously going below that previous wick, which is over here. That wick is coming in. Your stop would then be at about 13 cents. If you start to break under that, you've broken the diagonal. You've also broken back into the range, and then you know a bull trap has in fact taken place. And then the last one for the altcoins before we go into the lower time frames for Bitcoin is going to be Sol, but not the Solana Sol, the other Sol. Here we go, Phantasma. I don't know why they call it Sol, S-O-U-L, but the name is Phantasma. Like, surely you could have got a better ticker. Anyway, let's take a look at this.
They're asking for XRP next.
XRP, okay. Is there a lot of XRP requests? Yeah. Okay, XRP, I'll look at XRP. So guys, similar again to NEAR, to RUNE, and to, I think it was one of the other ones that I showed over there. Major breakdown. Look at this. I mean, I think this is a crypto gaming token. So these things can seriously catch a bid. If the market turns, these things can really get moving. You have, again, deviation, like that, boom, deviation, and holds the trend line over there. This could be the next small deviation. And let's zoom in. Let's have a look at this. There you go. Stops below this region over here at about 16 cents. If you break below that, you're losing this main range, which should have been the range lows that you're trying to recapture. You lose that level, and of course, prices are going to come all the way back down. Okay, XRP. I don't even think I have XRP on this list over here. I'll have to pull it up. Okay, let's do it. XRP. Okay, let's look at XRP. I'll start on a high time frame. The XRP army. I know you guys love your XRP, some of you. Okay, guys, I mean, XRP, look, I can already see it's at major resistance. On a weekly chart over here, you can see, I mean, just take it from this level. The wicks have failed to close above. Let's quickly change that to our pink box. There we go. So you can see that is the level of resistance over here, stuck within a range. Very simple. This is the range. I know you'd probably like a more specific and precise answer over here towards your XRP. I will zoom in, but I'd be looking at it like that. This, for the time being, is the current range that it's capped within. If it can start to get above 60 cents and hold there, then yes, XRP can really start to get rallying. And I'd imagine if the rest of the altcoins rally, XRP will do the same thing within this region. But this is your range high. It's come into resistance over here. Look at the wick. Look at the posturing of that candle over there. Maybe, I mean, if you want to be super aggressive and you, for some reason, are a major believer in XRP, then you don't want to see price come below over here. That would be your invalidation if you want a long into resistance. Otherwise, I would rather just wait for it to come back down to mid-range or lower, or just look at something else. But you're probably asking me that because you have XRP. Like, let's just be real. All right, guys. The liquid staking narrative could pick up steam leading into the Shanghai upgrade, which is coming up. Once those ETH are released, those people might restake those ETH. So I know, contrary to popular belief, people think the ETH is going to hit the market and they're just going to market sell all of it. But it's unlikely, because in order to have participated in that whole staking program for the Shanghai upgrade, you would have had to have a certain level of technical ability and you're probably more an OG within crypto and you're not looking for a quick buck. So you're probably a long-term holder of ETH, which means when that ETH hits the market, they're probably going to look for liquid staking options, and therefore you want to look at the liquid staking portfolio. This I gave months ago, so a lot of them are up. I've outlined a couple that are worth looking at. Some I did in the portfolio thing that I just went through right now, but here's the list. Feel free to take a screenshot. These are kind of the ones that I'm looking at. Out of all of them, there's only one that's really within a tradable zone. The rest have run too hard in my opinion, and the one is Bitfrost. Here's, you can see guys, very illiquid. When you see wicks like this, if you're a whale, you do not want to be trading this. Look at that. Because if you get stuck in these positions, you might not be able to liquidate them because the liquidity is so low. But for those of you who want to just throw $100 at it, then this is pretty simply what you're looking at. This area is starting to flip into support. You also have a little diagonal trend line over here, which seems to be holding. Failure to hold above this. So if it comes back down below these regions, breaks below 22 cents, then you know that your idea is wrong and that this liquid staking narrative or this particular token is not going to necessarily catch any momentum. Okay, Bitcoin. This is the trade setup that we gave. I told you that I would consider now moving the stop into break even. So boom, let's do it live. I like to do things live for you. So no risk. The risk is now gone. You can't lose if you took this trade over here. Look, I would want to see it if it does come back down. I'd want to see it hold that red 50 EMA. Let's make this bigger for you. So if it comes back down, I'd want to see it hold the red 50 EMA. If you missed out on the position, that could be an area where you could consider to re-add, but then you obviously would need to still put your stop loss in, which is going to again have to go below this wick over here. Ethereum is pretty much the same, right? So I think we already hit TP1 on this one. Yeah, TP1 was taken. So you should have stopped out half your position over there and you're leaving the rest to run to about 30,000 on TP2. Ethereum. Okay, here's Ethereum, same thing. Stop, you can move it into break even. Exactly the same story. If you start to see now Ethereum come back down, the 50 exponential moving average on the 4-hour chart is an opportune area where you could possibly get some entries in. That also happens to be the key quarterly level. So it's going to be an important zone for Ethereum to hold. And then your stop loss is going to go to where I just moved price to break even. So just below that wick, which is on the left-hand side at 1765. Those are for the people that have missed out. Okay, otherwise, you know, usually once you move halfway through your risk to reward tool where your final take profit is, you want to take at least one TP over here, which means on ETH you probably should have already done that, and your second one is coming in at $2,000. That's what I am watching over there. Next, you can see the market is still being driven mostly by spot traders over here. The short traders are still jumping in because you can see by these CVD futures, it's continuing to trend down over here, suggesting that they're trying to short the market. If they do get blown out, you could see that next major expansive move towards the upside. And then, guys, I just want to again remind you with OKX, we do have the trading competition. In order to join that, make sure that you click that link below. Also, you have to sign up to OKX. Each trade that you take is an entry into that competition. And then we do also have the other exchanges over here if you want to trade on a different exchange. Please give the video a like, hit the bell notification. Let's quickly get the bell. Hit the bell notification and subscribe to the channel. And that is it from me, folks. I will see you all on the next show. Cheers for now.